Okay, so I received a call this weekend from an old friend. We went to high school together, and he was actually my immediate next door neighbor. I distinctly remember driving him to school every single day. I had a red Chevrolet Cavalier. I forced him to sit in the back seat because he was a freshman and I was a senior. But we both kind of gained something out of that. He was the freshman riding to school with the senior, and I thought I was pretty cool in my car. And through that experience every single day, we gained a relationship and we developed a relationship. Over time, we ended up going to college, both of us. We both graduated, times when things were pretty simple. You thought about your tests, you thought about the football games coming up that weekend, and we never really called each other, emailed each other, but we always knew about each other because we still had the same circle of friends. We both ironically ended up back in Des Moines and got married, and both of us have had children. I've had 4. He has 1, a boy, 18 months old. His name is George. Cute kid. So I was really excited when I saw his number pop up on my phone. And again, it was 7 days ago. And I thought, well, my goodness, I know that he's pregnant and expecting twins. Well, his wife, not him. They're about 18 weeks along. He's calling to tell me the sex of the babies. And so I was really excited. I answered the phone, and that was not the case. He called to tell me that they had been diagnosed with TTTS. Anybody know what that is? Raise a hand. 1, 2, well. Let me tell you a little bit about it before I get into talking about this technology. Okay, here's a nice little picture of twins. Okay, and normally with identical twins, they draw from one placenta, so they have one food source. Okay, ideally, they each take the same amount of food or blood than the other. In twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, one twin, the recipient twin, takes more blood, takes more nutrients than the other twin, the donor twin. Okay, and as a result, the recipient twin grows larger and larger, and its home gets larger and larger. The amniotic sac gets larger and larger. And you'll see the donor twin stops, sometimes gets smaller, okay, loses fluid, ends up in a little corner because they're not getting as much food. Okay. I want to tell you some data about this condition. And first we talk about twins, multiple pregnancies. Okay? Out of all multiple pregnancies, 1/3 are identical twin pregnancies. Okay? 30% of those identical twin pregnancies are diagnosed with TTTS. Okay, so once you're diagnosed with it, you're watched very closely, so you have a really good shot at developing it. Okay? If it is not treated, if it is not dealt with a medical intervention, one or both, near 100% fatality rate. Okay? If there is an intervention, that flips. Okay, there's an 80% survival rate of at least one baby. In the United States alone, if we really dig down to numbers, this is a very conservative number. 4,500 cases happen or are reported diagnosed per year. And if we really look at it from a more macro level, entire United States, entire world, every pregnancy, singletons or multiples, 1 in 1,000 get diagnosed with TTTS. So it's pretty common, actually. I know this data so well. I live this data. It's become a passion of mine because I was diagnosed with TTTS 5 years ago, and those are my twins. Okay, there's Melanie and Molly, and I had the lucky and unlucky chance of having one baby that passed away and one baby that lived. Okay, and from what I told you, the recipient twin, see how much room she has? She was living the life, right? This was at my 20-week ultrasound. Here's Molly, donor twin, giving all the blood, okay? And the donor twin is who the doctors are worried about. That's who they're very, very hypersensitive about, that fatality rate. What I want to talk about is the surgery that's been introduced to deal with this situation, Okay? It's called a laser ablation surgery. And it is non-invasive. They don't have to open up the mother. It's used by this tool, which has 3 prongs, 2 of which they go into the placenta, and they laser off those connections that the recipient twin is using with these 2. They find the veins that she's using to take more blood, or he, and they just zap them. They cut them in half, okay, so they can't use them anymore. And that third one is an ultrasound, so they can see what they're doing in there in real time. Now, when I was diagnosed, I had an ultrasound on a Thursday, and my surgery was scheduled Friday morning at 8. Okay? Once you're diagnosed, you have a 12 to 24-hour time period to decide what you're going to do. At the time I lived in Missouri, the closest treatment center I had was St. Louis. It was 4 hours away, and so that's where I went. There were 6 locations in the country 5 years ago that offered this surgery. Not very many for a 12 to 24-hour time period. When my friend called, we spoke about his options. And note, St. Louis and Kansas City are the closest ones in Iowa. Nobody in Iowa. And most places, Methodist here refers people to Houston. They're the leaders in the technology. And my friend got a call right after I got off the phone with him, and he had surgery the next morning. His wife did. Okay, so he was within 24 hours, had the surgery, and flew back. So, 1 in 1,000. You would have to think with all of that research, all of that time spent to know about the condition, they must have found why it happens, right? No cause. They have no idea why it happens. 2 things, actually. They know that it happens only in identical twins, and they know that, forgive me if I laugh here, that the only indicator is the woman who is pregnant gains weight at a very fast pace. For me, my twin pregnancy, it was my second. So, I mean, I just thought it was very normal. I was huge, okay? And you just think it's a normal thing. Why would you ever think something's wrong, right? So there's no cause, okay? And there's no resources. I have established a network of people who call me when they're diagnosed. Methodist knows my name and tells people to call me. Doctors say the best thing you can do is research. You can call organizations. You can reach out to other people. You have 12 to 24 hours, okay? Odds are you've never heard of it before, and you've been praying that you're not going to have that discussion. So 2 things are my suggestions. 1, there needs to be a more wide availability of this surgery across the country and across the world. Over 20 places, 20 to 24 places is not enough. It is, let me repeat, the leading and only surgery to support this diagnosis, to extend the life of these babies. And it's slowly becoming available. Okay, and it has been for 5 years. And number 2, there needs to be some type of support system put in place for these individuals who are diagnosed, where they can reach out to people who have either been through it or know more about it. And I'm not talking a nonprofit who's raising money. I'm not talking a support system on where you should stay in a hotel. Okay, people who have been through it, and it's just not there. And these cases continue to grow because so do the cases of multiple births.